This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Right out of the door!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Because I'm the Mark, and I'm awesome!
The Guru.
Today I'm going to break it down for all you simpleton sweat hogs listening out there in Can Crusher Nation. I don't mean to come out here week after week and toot my own horn, but toot, toot.
And the English Professor.
It is I, the English professor from the County of Kings, speaking the English of the Queen.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
And welcome to another Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and it is Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. You know how much I miss mine, but I digress. Joining me this week via satellite, both of you, is the glorious guru, Chad Pirana, and the English professor, John Padalano. I don't know why I did that. Gentlemen,
that was a terrible impression of me.
Well, I wasn't doing an impression of you. How's your Mother's Day thus far?
Great. I know I got us a bit of a late start, just a few minutes, but
nobody knows.
I was putting the finishing touches on a batch of pizza dough. For Mother's Day, my wife requested some of my world famous Sicilian style pizza. So that's what we'll be having.
Chad?
Ah, very nice. Sue's enjoying her new puppy that I got her. Dog's been very good last week. She's happy. She's going out to dinner later.
Kelly's enjoying a day at work, so you know how that is.
That sucks.
Yeah, and this is normally her weekend off. Something happened that her schedule messed up because our IWC correspondent and myself and Ethan are taking my godmother out to one of her favorite places to eat. My mom's sister, Josie, we're going to head to Clarion and mow down some Chinese.
Excellent. I love it. Is Ethan the sort of thoughtful, artistic type? Is he going to make a card or do something or make something for Kelly? Or is he kind of past that phase?
No, he did He did something. He gave it to her last night since she wasn't going to be here. And just because, I ordered it April 15th, I'm not going to ruin it because she has been listening to our intros. Just an FYI. The present that I ordered April 15th from him and Max and Miggy was supposed to be here Wednesday. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was kind of time sensitive of what it is. So I'm royally pissed about that. It's still in transit, it says. So thank you. Whatever one is I forget which one it's coming on, but thank you. Thank you. So not only does my wife have to work on Mother's Day, she doesn't get her big present.
I'm sorry to hear that, Kelly.
So
that's not good. Now, Mark, you said something there about you and another one in Ethan, and who's going out to lunch?
Soup.
So
the biggest prediction winner.
IRS is making a public appearance today, and then he was announced for WrestleCade earlier this week.
IRS, you're right. Soup's going to be down signing autographs at WrestleCade this week.
Wow. Good for him.
He's kind of price gouging on his autographs. I mean, a photo and autograph are going for like $60 or something like that.
I'm sure since you kind of know him a little bit, he'd probably give you a discount. You at
What,
least.
$59.95?
Only if he can predict what's going to happen. Somebody's going to win the World Series this year.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a pretty good prediction.
So, big plan. I just told you my plans. Plans for you and your wives for Mother's Day?
Pizza. That's our plan. She didn't really want to go anywhere. She said calzones too. Made a big batch of dough. She said, if you just do that, I'll be happy. So that's really about it.
Sue's just going to dinner later. She wanted to go to dinner with her mom and daughter.
Good. So you guys essentially get a day off then too.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is great. That was my yesterday. I'm not going to lie. I woke up 6 o'clock, got Kelly up and off to work. No, she was up as well. I did 2 loads of laundry, did dishes, and then I literally played video games probably for the next 12 hours.
Wow. Holy cow.
It was rainy. I had planned to cut the grass because now I need a goat. But I had planned to cut the grass, and it was just clumpy and cucky. So I thought, well, let's run through this Diamond Dynasty. And I just couldn't stop. And then I played Odroid. And then we watched a movie at night. I'm not going to lie. But, yeah, I bet you, honestly, a good 8 hours of video games, though. I loved it.
We played baseball too, but in real life. Sylvan and I both had games, thankfully, on the same field, both at 10 a.m. Not on the same field, in the same park. Obviously, you can't. It's not, fatal 4-way baseball game with 4 teams. We were on different fields. It was like 48 or 50 degrees at game time. Windy, rainy. It was miserable. But my little kids hung in there. I was so proud of them. We don't keep score, Mark, when they're that little and everybody gets their base no matter what. But you've coached, I've coached, and we have said we keep score in our minds. All you can keep score of really are the outs you record, and we recorded about 4 or 5 outs.
Nice.
Yeah, little kids. And I recorded an out at second base. There are a couple of kids who already understand double plays. I was so proud of them. They did well.
I make my return to the Diamond this week as I think it's Monday or maybe Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday, actually. I'm going to go behind the plate. They need umpires in Ridgeway, so I'm going to go behind the plate and umpire some minor league games for one of the other garbage men and Justin Burkhouse. So, yeah. They asked, would I be kind of the minor league umpire for the years? Sure.
Good luck.
Nice.
We had an umpire kick a lady out at yesterday's game. Not the T-ball game, but my son's game. Nevertheless, they're 11 years old. She wouldn't shut up. I couldn't hear her because she was in front of me, but she's notorious for complaining the entire game. Her son was on my T-ball team years ago, and the umpire took his mask off once, off again. Ma'am, I've given you several warnings. I'm not going to stand here and take this anymore. Finally, he gave her the old, macho man twirling finger heave ho and threw her out. She wouldn't leave. He was going to call the cops. Her husband's like, you have to leave. And she left. It's got to be so embarrassing. They're 11 years old. Who gives a shit? And I thought he did fine. The dads are crazy. They hang out by the fences. I'm kind of one of those dads. I couldn't tell you a single bad call he made. But she complained the whole game. She got thrown out.
This is fair.
So good luck.
This is fair warning right now. Everybody's on notice. There's no, I'm going to tell you one time. Nope, this is the warning right now, Ridgeway. If you piss me off, you're out.
You better be listening to Can Crushers to get your warning.
I'm glad you guys bring this up about throwing people out. Yesterday, I watched a video. Evidently, this pitcher got pissed off, and it was a minor, or it was, kids, early teens playing baseball. And this pitcher was really pissed at this umpire, and it come out that he conspired with his catcher. He was going to throw a high fastball, and the catcher wasn't to do anything, and he pegged the umpire right in the fucking head. I mean, the catcher just sat there like.
See, that's what I'm worried about. Because right there, the last time I umpired, I ended up with a concussion. Because a kid fouled it straight into my face.
I mean, number what? How many?
I don't know. Really? You're asking?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, this kid hit this umpire right straight with a fastball right in the head, right in the mask. And the umpire, I'll say this, the umpire didn't go down. He kind of got up, took his mask off, just kind of shook his head. The other umpires come in. Game was tossed and everything at that point. And I guess the kid had, I shouldn't say this was early teens. This was later teens, like 16. The kid had a scholarship, full scholarship. Nice. And wherever he was going, saw the clip of what he did and revoked his scholarship.
Wow.
You know, very quickly, speaking of shit not being worth it, this is going to sound funny, but listen to our latest Can Crusher Spotlight with Cowboy Scott Casey. And here's what I mean by that. It is worth a listen. I'm not saying it's not worth a listen. I'm saying listen to the very end, guys, when he talks about his meeting with Mr. McMahon and asking him outright, do I have a job? And Mr. McMahon says, no. And he said he wanted to just reach across, whatever, grab him by the tie, beat his face in, but he didn't. But what he said was, I'm going to paraphrase here, I can accept failure when given the chance, but you didn't give me the chance. And Vince said, I tell you what, go back to Atlanta for a little bit, for a year or two, and then think about coming back. And I think he went back to Dallas instead, or Houston, or wherever he went. But had he, punched Vince McMahon in the face, probably would have been negative repercussions. Probably would have gone back to work there. And I believe he did go back to work there. Point being, he handled it, with class and dignity and as a gentleman, and kept the door open. So as much as he wanted to, it wasn't worth punching that guy in the face and getting yourself in trouble. And I would say the same thing to this young man. Was it worth it? Did a few bad calls, was that worth your scholarship and whatever else, you may have lost? It's not worth it.
So Scott Casey didn't do the nails thing and choke McMahon out in his office?
No, but what Scott Casey did for the podcast, I've never laughed. So I muted my mic a couple times because I was dying. If you have not listened to it, my favorite quote from him comes from him talking about Amarillo. Amarillo is flatter than piss on a platter.
Cowboy Scott Casey's from a different time. Doesn't make it right or wrong. Things evolve, and maybe by our standards, it's not politically correct these days. But I didn't doubt for a second the guy's got a good heart and means well. Just maybe has some different terminology than we use today. And he warns you up front. You don't like it, don't buy the book. You don't like it, don't listen to Can Crushers. You don't like it, don't listen to me. And he's right. He's right. So, but it is, the stories are fantastic. Mark and I had all these questions, and to be brutally honest, which I think we are on this show, we didn't know a whole lot. We knew Survivor Series 88, I think he was, against Andre the Giant's team, so that was pretty cool. But he took the side suplex from Dino Bravo early on. I can remember him from Legends of World Class when we watched that on whatever it was, ESPN and
4 o'clock.
Yep, he was on there. But we didn't know a whole lot. So we're like, let's see if we can get 45 minutes out of this. And, we have our questions, and he just jumps in with, let me tell you about the time Wahoo McDaniel took a massive shit. And Mark just, clapped his hands together like, oh, we're done. We don't have to ask a single question. We just sat back and drank beers and listened to some hilarious stories and some very real stories about injuries and He put a lot of things in perspective. You can ask him about Fritz or you can ask him about Mr. McMahon, and it's kind of the same story. They had the ability to be good, honest, gracious people, and they have it in them to be cutthroat promoters. I mean, it's just it was the nature of the business.
And if we're ever in his neck of the woods, we can go drinking with him. He legit can't wait to come back on the show. He can't, if we find him, he'd hang out with us. He is a wonderful human being, though.
Yeah, and I don't know who answered the phone, but you could hear her, from time to time in the background. Oh, don't tell that story. Oh, you have to tell him this. But she answered the phone, and she was an absolutely lovely lady. Mark talked to her for just a couple of seconds, and she was a sweetheart.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have our wrestling show. Scott Casey was a good transition, but you guys know that Chad has brought a Nintendo Switch code to give away. It's for Retromania, and I had put questions out all week to see if we can get qualifiers, and this goes on next week as well. We have a few qualifiers that got the 3 out of the 5, so that's good. I know Chad has seen some of these questions, but I'm going to ask them both to you guys. Since they can't send in the answers anymore, it stops Friday night that, boom, you can't send them in. We're on to the next week. Here's the questions for last week. And Chad, like I said, I know you saw them, so let John go first, because you should know most of these. All right. And I'm going to summarize them quicker than what I put on the old Facebook. Who trained Apollo Crews?
Holy hell. No idea. I couldn't even... He went to Brooklyn and got trained by the unpredictable Johnny Rods.
Chad?
Final answer.
I have no idea. I'll say the Monster Factory.
This was actually a kickback to Retromania. Their first DLC was announced to be Mr. Hughes, and Curtis Hughes trained Apollo Crews.
I didn't know Mr. Hughes trained.
See how I tied that into the game? Huh?
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
You worked on that all week, didn't you?
That was Mondays. I didn't have to work on it at all. Here's an easy one, boys. Who is Robert Roode's partner in Beer Money?
How many years back are we going with this?
TNA. You weren't a big TNA fan. I didn't think you'd get this either.
Holy cow. Robert Roode's in Beer Money.
Chad talks about him all the time.
John.
I don't know.
Chad, give me the answer.
Storm.
James Storm.
Oh. Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah, that would be a cool team to see.
Another DLC on Retromania. Huh? Tying it into the game. Huh? Yeah.
That's really good. Really good.
Who did Arn Anderson defeat to win his first TV championship?
Okay, so there was the high-flying guy that teamed up with Pillman. Before him was the Great Muda. Before that, Tully beat Dusty. Arn won a tournament, didn't he? Didn't he win it?
He did.
He did win a tournament, because I remember him saying this belt means every week there's going to be a world title match right here on this TV station. Question is, who the hell did he beat in the finals?
You heard his name a lot this week.
This week. Wouldn't have been Nikita.
No.
Nikita was a television champion later.
Chad, do you know? John does not.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say Wahoo McDaniel.
Boom.
Really? That's who he beat in the finals?
Yeah.
Wow.
Question for Thursday was, who did DDP manage in AWA?
Oh, they became the Orient Express in the WWF, Kato and Tanaka, but Kato was obviously not Kato. But is that close enough?
Bad Company?
Pat Tanaka
Bad
and
Company.
Paul
Yeah,
Diamond.
yeah. Paul Diamond. Diamond. Can we call that a walk? I was 0 for 3 up to this point.
Yeah, you were not qualified. You're not qualified.
Yeah, I'm not qualified. Yeah.
And this one. Stardust and the Ascension formed a group for a short period of time. What was the group's name?
I was clearly not. I know nothing about Stardust other than he picked a fight. He picked a fight with Green Arrow, and Green Arrow is one of my favorite heroes, so I was rooting for Green Arrow.
Cosmic Wasteland.
That's a great name, though.
I remember that now.
So neither one of you. Well, no, Chad might have gotten in. He got Storm and Wahoo.
He got Wahoo.
Yeah, well, and he got Bad Company. He gave me, so Chad's in on his own. No, he's not winning it, but Chad's in on his own code. Yeah. You are still riding the pine.
Yeah.
Did
you see? Go ahead.
We told them that's going to be across the board. This wasn't going to be how many seconds do you have to pin somebody. Those were tough.
Yeah. Those were tough. Those were tough.
Did I see what?
Yeah, I don't know. The thought's gone now.
Oh, all right. Here we go. Let's roll into Monday Night Raw then. I want you guys to start, then I'll give my thoughts on Raw. So,
very quickly, the lowlights for me. If you're going to believe this, I'm going to knock a Charlotte match. I am a big fan. I thought her match last week versus Mandy Rose was fine. I think Mandy Rose is a good worker and is so criminally underutilized, especially being teamed up with Dana, whatever
Brooke.
The hell her name is, like it matters. Brooke. Oh, my God. That match with Charlotte was just lousy. It was just lousy. That's about it. I was so disappointed. And, it's almost like, as I think Charlotte's very good. I know sometimes you guys don't agree, but she couldn't do anything for her. She couldn't make her look good. There was nothing to sell there. Just a lot of gymnastics and theatrics. You can do that, but you better be good at other stuff. Like,
a headlock?
Like Van Damme comes to mind. He did all the cool, crazy shit that Jean-Claude Van Damme could do in the movies, but was a hell of a wrestler. And I'm going to say the same for Catanzaro. Obviously, she's an incredible gymnast. She's pretty good in the ring. But if you're not great in the ring, but you're an excellent gymnast, you can maybe disguise some of that stuff. Dana Brooks not good enough at either one. Sorry. I don't know how she has a job. I don't know how she has a job.
That's it. That's the only thing you got out of Raw.
Yeah. I fell asleep about halfway through at about the 10:30 mark.
Oh, Chad?
Yeah, I was kind of along the lines of the same thing. I thought the Charlotte thing was the only thing that made kind of sense. Her slapping around Dana Brooke and everything. I think it's just leading more on her character of her thinking that she's the top of the top of the mountain. I still think there's something more to come with her and with Charlotte and what the hell's her name?
Sonya Deville.
Sonya Deville, yeah. Because Sonya, I just kind of expected her to punch fucking Charlotte in the ring. I was just like waiting for it and it didn't happen. I'm like, okay, they're doing something more there. Either that or they both were really fucking bad on their delivery.
Well, that was my question to you guys because I knew Charlotte was going to be brought up from John. Is this the way that Sonya gets brought back into the ring, finally? She had that loser leaves WWE thing when she had her issues to take care of that have pretty much been done now. So this gets Sonya back in the ring. somehow she screws over Sonya. I don't think Charlotte's taking the title from Asuka or Ripley at the next pay-per-view. From Ripley. I don't think Ripley's losing it yet either. But I think Sonya gets involved, and then at least you see Sonya back in the ring, and I think Sonya's going to get a big push. She fights with Charlotte for a while, and then her and Ripley would be pretty cool. I think this is Sonya's time. We're going to start peeking into Sonya's time, and I think it's deserved because we were high on her 2-3 years ago.
Good.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see. I'd like them to push her in that. I just, I joke with John a lot about Charlotte and kind of her position. Until I see something like that happen, I just don't believe it because of the way she's been in the past. The other thing that you reminded me is, Rhea Ripley. What the fuck is up with her? Did she get into a fight with a fucking lawnmower or something?
You don't like her hair?
Oh my God. It was like, okay, when she first came back, she had kind of the goth look, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Now it's like goth versus fucking Ghostbusters versus, soft German porn or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
What? Well, she got called up to the main roster, so Vince has to tweak her somehow.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, I bet you he does. Or tries to.
Oh, God. I really like this Sheamus right now. I've always had being stupid, I've always had something for Sheamus, a little spot in my heart.
Aww,
but I like the Sheamus where he's, I don't know, like he's a back alley bully in, England or Scotland or where the hell he's from. Where is he from?
I think he's Irish.
Irish, yeah.
He's Irish.
Ireland, then. Yeah, that's good
You
enough.
would have got there eventually.
Yeah, it's somewhere across the pond. And I apologize to our Ireland listeners. I like it. I really do that he's just taking people on. We can move past Humberto Carrillo, though. We really can.
Yeah. I still like the Randy Orton Riddle thing.
It's funny.
It didn't advance anything. It was another, but that's okay. That's all right. It just was another tag team match for them to win together, kind of solidify that they're a team before inevitably, probably, Randy Orton is the one who turns on Riddle. But a cool twist might be Riddle turning on Randy Orton and somebody finally, gets the Viper back, so to speak. But that was fine. Lana and Naomi against the tag champs was just
horrendous.
Drizzling shits, as Ole Anderson would say. I like Ole now. Ole and I get along fine now. I've changed my tone about him. I still don't know, based on the stories I've heard, if I ever want to meet the guy in person. But he's grown on me. Anyway, not a Damian Priest fan anymore. They ruined him. They made him a joke, and not just with Bad Bunny, but if he shot one arrow in NXT, he's got to shoot 4 arrows in WWE. If he whips his hand around and punches them out one time, he does 6 twirls on the main roster. If a little bit is good, a lot must be great, as our friend Scott Casey said.
Right. And I'm going to go right towards Chad for this one. When does Alexa get in the ring? All right, we love her promos and everything, but she needs to do something. Now that she's broken away from the Fiend and she's got Lily in her corner, she needs to just attack anybody at this point. I don't give a shit if she takes Dana Brooke out for months. She needs to show that she's just not sitting on the sideline going up and down a swing and then slides.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I enjoy seeing her no matter what the hell she's doing, but it's like, Jesus, would you fucking beat somebody's ass? I mean, jump somebody, hit them with a bat, make a doll of them. Let's go to the Rick Rude putting faces on tights fucking thing or something. Let's, do something. You're losing your fucking aura of, I don't know, creepiness by same shit week after week. So you got a, fucking dollar Raggedy Ann doll from the fucking thrift shop that you named Lily. Something new.
Yep.
This has potential's not the right word, the danger of heading down the road of the scoop your eye out with the spoon match between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. They keep this up, nothing short of her head spinning around in circles and the black gunk we've already seen, so that's a thing. And going down the stairs backwards, all contorted like the girl from whatever the hell that movie was, The Exorcist. Short of like an Exorcist type thing, we're going to be disappointed, I think. If they're not careful with this, the whole supernatural thing, she's a great athlete. She's also 4'9". So there's got to be a level of believability. The Undertaker was close to 7 feet. So, okay, he's dead and he just stepped out of a coffin and the moon's out. He's also 6'10" and can throw somebody into the front row. So there was that level of believability there. She's doing a great job with this, but I'm not sure it's the right thing for her because we run into the issue of A, what's next, and B, where does the believability in a fight come in? So to Chad's point, she's got to use a bat. She's got to gouge out somebody's eyes. She's got to bite somebody's ear off. She has to do something, I think.
I agree. And it's got to be soon. It really does have to be soon. All right, let's throw it over to Throwback SmackDown. And they replayed, however you want to say it, a lot of old school SmackDown stuff, which was nice to see when wrestling was wrestling. Roman starts the live show, and
What?
I know, do you believe it?
That's only like what, the 365th show in a row?
I think so. The show is on fast forward. Not only at my house, but in WWE in general. They ran through a whole storyline in one night, which disappointed me. But when Paul was doing the 10 bells, after bell number 2, did anybody see Roman's face? They had to pull the camera away from him because he was cracking up every time that Heyman went, ding, ding. I did love this segment when they were playing he was doing a 10-bell salute for Daniel Bryan. Jimmy comes out and Cesaro comes out. Teddy Long was on his game though. You're going to fight The Undertaker! No, you're not going to fight The Undertaker. He's not around anymore. You're going to be in a steel cage match against us! Nope, we don't have a steel cage ready for you, Teddy. No. But my point is, because we're going to run the whole Roman thing, did you guys watch all of it? No.
No.
It went from Jimmy coming back to, okay, he's happy that he's back, to he get called a bitch, and Jay's a bitch, and all of a sudden, what could have extended this storyline for another 2 weeks per SmackDown, you already know that Jimmy's pissed off at Roman, and he's going to try screwing him over. Boom. And Jay is now in the middle not knowing where to go. Essentially, they've already said that there's a crack in the head of the table, or the family, or whatever. I mean, it all happened in 2 hours. And I thought, all right, you bring him back and let him get beat up in a match or something. I just thought they fast-forwarded this way too fast. I was not happy about it. Nothing. All right.
The crack in the table leaked out early this week that WWE, or maybe it was last week, in the works with MLW for a shared talent. They just bring up, still got Jacob Fatu there. Some brilliant promoter's been using him. And then the other thing that come out of this that was Daniel Bryan's last match
Yeah.
in WWE. It comes out afterwards. His contract was up
And
after that match.
and he's not sitting on the no. He can go anywhere he wants to right now because his contract is up. It wasn't like he was released and had a no compete clause. He can go back to ROH. He can go to AEW. He can go anywhere he wants to. He can go to Japan. He is free and clear as of last Friday when Roman beat him. So
Where does he go?
I don't know. I hate to say that I don't see him fitting in AEW. So I think he goes back to ROH. You any thoughts?
I would like to see him. I think AEW would be a fit to where he wouldn't be wrestling all the time, but Ring of Honor is where he made his name. Ring of Honor, New Japan. If he stays stateside, which I obviously think he will with the wife and 2 kids, I think it's going to be Ring of Honor.
His career's coming to an end. I mean, I think he goes back to where he started and says goodbye to the fans there.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly with Chad. I think from the standpoint of a career move, I think New Japan would be exciting for him. But you're absolutely right. With the family here, I don't think he makes that move.
Other things that happened. Bayley had a pretty cool promo where she paid tribute to Alundra Blaze, Jackie, everybody's ever held the women's title. Poked fun at Bianca, saying that she's never on her level. I liked that. That was fun. Other things.
Was this Ding Dong Hello?
No, she didn't do it. It was just her in the ring. No ding dong hello.
So sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. Is that the idea?
Yeah, it should have been, but I don't know. Like Cesaro against Seth, the Usos stayed out there.
Say that. They're so good. They can't have a bad match, those guys. That'll always be fine. It'll always be fine.
Yeah. Other than that, I rounded up or wrapped up everything that you needed to know on SmackDown that Jimmy's back and he's pissed off at Roman. There you go. That's
a cool story, though. What do the brothers do? How do they align? That's a story to follow.
It is. It was just on fast forward, though. Sometimes you want it that fast. This was one that you didn't need that fast. Let him get back and say, man, I'm back. I'm glad to be back in the ring. Let me help you, help the family. Then he gets screwed over by him.
Just showing up maybe at the tail end would have been a great cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That would have been a great cliffhanger. It makes you want to tune in next week. Oh, my God, is it Jimmy? Where does Jimmy stand now?
Right.
Then you get another week out of it. Like what you were saying earlier. They could have drawn this out for 2 or 3 more weeks at least.
Yeah. So
if they're going to draw the first sets of matches and drama and everything with Jay out for, it seems like 6 fucking months, they could have gotten at least 2-3 weeks out of this.
Yep. I agree. You know what you can get a lot of weeks out of, though?
Collar and elbow gear.
Oh, I was going to say, trying to tally up Al Snow's age.
Well, that too. Between the 3 of us, we have 12 hands and toes, right? Or feet. No.
6 feet.
6.
Each of us has 2.
Right,
and 6 hands, so 12. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. I said toes. I meant feet.
Okay.
So we still couldn't get Al Snow's age, is what I'm saying.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I botched that.
Yeah, I'll say.
Speaking of botch, did you see Botchamania's done? They done. They put a kibosh to Botchamania. Everybody knows what Botchamania is.
Yeah.
Some legal something or other happened, and Botchamania. See ya. You have to close your doors.
Wow. They've been around a while.
They have.
I'm not Go ahead, Chad.
You know where that came from? Tony Khan.
Really?
I never knew that. Not surprised, but I never knew that.
Because they were showing a lot of the AEW fuck-ups, like from one of the first ones where the guy threw like 420 punches at Dustin Rhodes and didn't come within a foot of his head. Many Young Bucks kicks that didn't even touch the guy's hair, but yet the guy's been out for 6 to 8 weeks with a broken neck because of it. Shit like that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I've never been a fan of the car wreck scene, so to speak. I've never been a fan of Botchmania. I'm not interested in people's mistakes. It doesn't.
Yeah, listen to me.
Good.
Listen to me.
That's all I have to do if I want to see mistakes made.
Just call Mark.
Yeah, he has to fucking go out and cut his lawn again after he spent, left the podcast up to John and me and was out there all fucking day.
John and
That's right, it's me. No, it's me.
Oh.
Yeah. John and I would be like, John and I did the podcast, but if you take John out of the sentence, he left the podcast up to me. He didn't leave it up to I. He left it up to me.
Collar and elbow. Hats, hoodies, tees, sweats, vests, eye patches, masks. Memorial shirt says John's got his Shad Gaspar one on. I am in frigid Ridgeway, Pennsylvania with my hoodie on today and got my normal collar and elbow shirt underneath. I show you guys every week like you guys give two shits. Or the listeners can see us on an audio podcast. But, Chad, we have a promo code when you order from Collar and Elbow that'll save you some money. What's the promo code?
Snowshoes. No.
It's not snowshoes.
Can Crushers. Capital C and Can, capital C and Crushers. All one word.
John, this is your spot.
You save 10% when you use that promo code Chad just mentioned.
Which is essentially
shipping. You get enough stuff, it's essentially shipping. Or if you want to say, okay, I'll pay the shipping, go to a game, park, it's essentially parking, depending where you park.
Yeah, a mile and a half away that we have to walk for free. I'll pay the damn parking. Here comes Al Snow, and when we come back, we'll talk about two pretty good shows, NXT and AEW.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hi, this is Danny Gray, the American Bombshell, and you are listening to the Can Crushers podcast. I love these guys.
And welcome back to Can Crushers, listener. Desire the English Professor, joined by Chad the Glorious Guru and our host, Mark the Mark Martinez. We just heard from Al Snow over at Collar and Elbow, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, pants, eye patches, vests. As Mark mentioned, I've got my Brooklyn's own Shad Gaspar shirt. Mark, I mentioned I was making pizza in calzone. I've got the dough rising on the bench right now, and I like to kind of go back to my roots when I do stuff like that. So I'll wear either something Brooklyn related or Italian related. One of the reasons I was late this morning, other than I was letting the dough rise, was I had to wear this shirt. Absolutely had to. And we've had this debate. I don't know where to file this shirt in which drawer. I have a lot of T-shirts, so I have a drawer dedicated to Al Snow.
Wow.
Yeah, with the collar and elbow stuff. I have a drawer with all my superhero shirts, and then I have a New York City themed drawer with my Jets and Yankees and other Brooklyn shirts. I went through all my Al Snow stuff and could not find this shirt. And I'm like, maybe it's with the New York stuff. And there it was. So I'd love your opinion. Where do you think it ought to be? With the other collar and elbow, or like with, in between Matsui and Jeter?
I think it's collar and elbow shirt.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I'll know that for next time.
When you said you went back to your roots, this instantly popped into my head, and you brought up dough, so I thought, well, you turned into your father and you were swearing at the dough? Is that what?
Yeah. Not today, because it came out really good. Usually, once in a while, there's a lot of, goddamn motherfucker while I'm,
So you were Dom today. You made the perfect dough.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see, I thought when he said he going back to his roots.
Oh, God.
I figured, okay, Mark steps outside the door and gets waffled with a chair and, crotched on the fucking porch, what do you call it, railing or whatever, because John had a bad habit of assaulting you in high school.
He always started shit, Chad. We're going to go down this road. But being that it's Mother's Day, I just wanted to share a quick mom memory. Mark would come over on Saturdays. I think Wrestling Challenge was on at noon on Saturdays, right when the pizza shop was opening. So we would be in the back. And anytime my mom caught what was going on the TV, it repulsed her. Like, she just hated the WWF. And she would turn to Mark for whatever reason for the answers to whatever was on TV. Like, she couldn't stand Luna Vachon with the tattoos and the mohawk and doing that. And she would, Mark just wanted to watch the show, and she would be talking to him about, oh my God, the poor blessed mother that had this baby and she grew up to do this. What do you think her mother thinks? Mark, didn't have the heart to tell her, well, her dad's doing this shit and her uncles are doing this. But he said, oh, yeah, Ma, I know, yeah. Oh my God, Mark, why that snake bite that guy? Anyway.
Oh, go ahead.
What would she have done, John, if she would have seen who the hell was it, pulled off old Mad Dog Vachon's leg and beat somebody with it?
Oh,
his prosthetic leg. She probably would have fainted.
Yeah.
What would your mother have done if I go down to her house today and tell her you're the one that threw me off a fucking set of bleachers and tore my knee up? Well, baby boy John cannot do no wrong till I tell her, oh.
Don't forget about what was it, DDT or something, and he knocked you out?
It was a leg drop. That was prior to throwing me off. I should have stopped there.
The leg drop was in 6th grade. The DDT was in high school. This went on for years. I abused Mark for a long time.
And we're still friends.
Yeah, I still love him.
30 plus years, bro.
Yep. So NXT, what a show.
Yeah, it starts with Ruff against Swerve, and let me tell you, this was all over the place. This is the first time I'll give props to both of them. This is a match that they finally did right. I don't know if they needed to have it all over the place like they did, but it was a good, not a perfect match, but a pretty damn good match between these two. I like what they did. Maybe they both need to throw this kind of stuff in their arsenal.
I agree. Just cut out the Spider-Man stuff that Ruff does. It's too comic booky and doesn't look believable. Where he jumps on the one side of the turnbuckle and Swerve goes to grab him and can't. He jumps on the other one, then he jumps on the top, then he goes down. I don't know, just punt him in the nuts or swipe his legs or something. I just didn't believe that he was that elusive. But otherwise, yeah, I agree. Good stuff. I liked when he went for the tope and Swerve caught him in a fire Mary and just drilled him into the side of the ring apron. You ever just hate somebody, guys? I don't know what it is, but Leon Ruff, I love watching him get beat up. He reminded me, do I go down this road? He reminded me of Rocky King when he was wrestling Arn Anderson. And Arn was beating his ass and had the match going his way, and there was no reason for anybody else to get in there. But all of a sudden, Ole, Barry Windham, and Sid Vicious jump in and start putting the boots to Rocky King. Oh, yes, this is great. I hate Rocky King. And then whatever, the Steiners and the Road Warriors came out and cleared the ring. But I love watching Leon Ruff get bumped around.
Because he does it well. He really does.
He does. He sells really, really well.
Chad's got nothing for this.
No, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I mean, these guys, they're not, my favorites, but this was a good match. I actually enjoyed it.
One other quick thing about it. You're right, Mark. They fought. They fought in this match. This match in AEW would have been super high spots nonstop. These same two guys would have been booked way differently. Even in a Falls Count Anywhere, no DQ match, super, super high spots the whole way, my opinion.
I agree. Any promos that you want to talk about? Because I actually like the one with the Way and how Scarlett got involved, and she's got big nails. Big nails.
Very big.
You guys think those are real? They can't be real.
They were glistening all over the place. They have to be real. Cameron Grimes fights. Yeah. Did anybody catch his name that got his ass beat in 30 seconds?
Hallie? Something like that?
Hallie. Maybe it was. Hallie. I don't know. No clue.
Good
Isn't
match.
that the guy that was in IWC?
What?
There was Anthony Young.
That was no, Austin Gray wasn't that guy, was it? I honestly didn't think I would have remembered him.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
There was a guy from IWC that made his debut and he got his ass kicked. I think that's the one that Grimes went against.
I honestly did not. I didn't see a name, and the match was over. And I'm like, well, Grimes won. I don't need to rewind it. I didn't care.
He's a good worker. You can give him this silly business with the $1 Million Man. Bell to bell, he is very good.
Well, let's talk about that because Grimes is out on the town then, like instantly. Good thing he had an opening match that boom, he gets cleaned up and goes out on the town trying to get it into a bar, but he can't because the $1 Million Man bought it.
That's so great. This game of one-upsmanship is brilliant. Whoever's writing this stuff, you make a reservation and maybe say, like, I want the whole floor cleared so I can have the whole thing to myself. The only way you one-up that is to buy the place and shut it down so that you have it to yourself. So good.
Why do we love this? Like, this could happen maybe on the main roster, on Raw or SmackDown with somebody, but we're like, but why is it okay here? Because it's not shoved down our throat the whole time? Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say it's been done, and they tried to, do it a couple of other times, and shit, it just didn't come across on the main roster. They tried it with Ted's son. Who else did they try? I can't think offhand, but it's funny at this level because DiBiase, he's not on there. He's not a feature. He's not being shoved down our throat. It's just like, oh, I can't get into a bar. Why? Oh, there he is. He fucking bought the bar. It brings me back to when he was doing the shit in the arenas to get people to do stuff. Oh, you can you do 10 push-ups? I'll give you $100. And the fucking guy gets the 9th push-up and he, kicks him in the ass, pushes him over. Oh, you didn't do 10. And still, the greatest one of all time was the basketball.
Yes.
And the kid.
That kid was so dejected.
And then the story years ago, or the story come out 2 years ago, Ted told it where he was at a convention and guy comes up to him and he's like, oh, you don't remember me, do you? And, he's like thinking, I see fucking millions of people. How am I going to remember you? He said, remember the kid in the basketball? And Ted's like thinking, oh, man, I'm going to get fucking punched here, he said. He said, yeah, I was the kid that was dribbling the basketball that you kicked out. And he thought that was one of the greatest moments in his career was this guy coming back, 40-some years old, and they took a picture and he signed a fucking basketball for him.
That guy should show up at, like, conventions with Ted. You could get
Absolutely.
pictures with him.
Absolutely. Yep. Why wouldn't it work on the main roster? That's a fair question. It's a good question, Mark. Question mark. I didn't mean to. Anyway. So NXT is a little darker, a little grittier. I think maybe with the main roster, there's two issues. You have 300 names between Raw and SmackDown. Maybe not that many, but you have a lot of people. I think NXT, what do you have? 30, 40, 50 people that consistently work there. I don't think it's quite as much as 50, but in any event, you have a lot to follow on the main roster. Also, I think they would have just candy-assed or Disneyland the hell out of it somehow with too much lighting. I'm sure there's all sorts of lighting and directing going on for the Cameron Grimes, Ted DiBiase thing on NXT, but they just kind of let it speak for itself. Like, they get the close-up shots and let these guys say their stuff, and I don't know. I just feel like they would have Disneyland it too much to appeal to, you don't want to hurt the 5-year-old's feelings, so let's make it stupid somehow. Like earlier, if one bow and arrow's cool, 3 bow and arrows must be fantastic. So, I don't know. It would have gone on too long on the main roster. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, that's a what-if question, so who knows. But they just tend to overdo things. I guess what you guys are saying, shove it down your throats.
Yeah.
Compare it, honestly, guys. Y'all is liking, various sports and everything. I look at NXT as being like the college level of sports where, okay, they don't have a giant roster spot. They don't have the, huge contracts that the main roster does and everything like that, or the endorsements. They're kind of fighting for that. I view the main roster as guys that are already fucking there. They already got their endorsements. They already got the bigger contracts. It's just kind of they're having more fun and showing more of themselves and that versus, okay, then you got, Vince McMahon's fucking, personal laugh every 3 hours bullshit.
Touche. Next matchup is the Grizzled Young Vets against Ciampa and Thatcher. This was a great tag team match. This needs to happen about 75 more times, but not ruining it, because I loved it. Actually, it's got thrown on to my tag team match of the year already.
Yep, agree. Excellent. Ciampa and Thatcher are so believable. They genuinely intimidate me. Watch Ciampa try to think his way through an escape. If, one of the veterans had his arm, watch him think his way through an escape to where you believe none of this is predetermined. None of it is choreographed. This guy is trying to escape this hole. And while he's thinking it through, watch Thatcher on the apron like a guy on a wrestling team watching his teammates match, waiting for his match. If you've ever gone to a wrestling meet in high school or middle school or whatever, watch the kids watch their teammate wrestle. They're locked into what's going on. Because maybe they'll learn something or maybe they're looking for something. They're so believable as a team. And obviously the Grizzled Young Veterans are no slouches either. But this was excellent psychology and storytelling and is what pro wrestling should be at its best. I'm just sad we missed out on club sandwiches. There was a point where Ciampa and Thatcher were doing double forearms, and Beth yells, "Club sandwiches for everyone." I'd have gotten like roast beef with mustard and mayo.
Cold cut.
Yeah, lettuce, tomato, maybe some hot peppers.
All right, well, we're there, and Chad can then talk on the match. What's on your favorite club sandwich? Is roast beef yours?
I think of turkey and roast beef.
Chad?
Yeah, I got to go the same on that one.
I like throwing one more on that as well, which is weird. But when I make like a smorgasbord sandwich, I like turkey roast beef and then like a hard salami, just to throw that on there for a little bit of a bite. That little bit of a bite with. Then I like brown mustard when I use.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not French's.
No.
What's your What's your cheese of choice then?
Man, I love any kind of cheese. For a club, I'd probably go Swiss though. Swiss or cheddar.
I honestly am a hot pepper jack fan.
Nice.
I like baby Swiss, and I know it's Swiss in general, but I like it. It's not as aged. It's still a little bit softer, and it's got a million holes compared to just the gaping huge hole. So, all right. That's our club sandwiches, by the way.
Yeah, and they were handing them out at NXT.
Damn it. What did you think of the match, Chad? Now that I'm hungry.
I like these guys. I mean, this is a perfect example of two guys who, they had a feud before, but they look like they could be a team. And like John said, they're not just, the guy that's outside the ring isn't just kind of assing off in La La Land. He's watching the match and taking note. And, the guy in the match, they're not, which we'll get to on a Wednesday night show. They're not going through fucking pre-rehearsed motions and everything.
Yep. We get the promo time on NXT. The Way meets up with the Regal. The Way meets up with Regal. Anybody want to talk about that promo? Or then we have Cross and Scarlett in the ring as well. So, and then everybody and the brother comes down for that one. So, run as you may, boys.
Go ahead, Chad.
I was going to say, I like Cross and Scarlett as there's still something fucking creepy about them. And the delivery is what just brings you in. It's just not bullshit. It's not ranting and raving. It's not some fucking idiot thinking he's an A-lister fucking actor because he was in a, movie that wasn't even good enough for fucking home release. They're just the interview's just believable. They suck you in by the way they talk.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of the way they talk, I didn't know this. I didn't want to look it up on Google. I just let my ears decide for me. And I'm listening to Karrion Kross, and I thought, this guy's my homeboy. I know he is. And then as soon as he addressed Austin Theory, I'm like, he's from Brooklyn. He's got to be. And I looked it up. He's from New York City, too. I didn't know that.
Oh, boy.
But as far as the promo goes, what do we keep saying? If you can intertwine stories and just keep throwing more stuff on there and doing it the right way, you're going to intrigue us. So Austin Theory, and he addresses him. O'Reilly comes out. Dunn comes out. Balor comes out. Gargano comes out. Good stuff. Awesome stuff. Multiple champions are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
And then we hit a low point in NXT. What the hell? The next three segments are what the hell for me. Sarai against Zaida, that match, she was what, the goddess of wind, earth, and air, or whatever. She has done nothing for me.
Yeah. She's supposed to be, according to the hype, just the greatest thing to come out of Japan. And I've been saying this every time I see her wrestle. She's okay. She's fine. I think Io Shirai is worlds better. I think Hikaru Shida's better. Asuka, Kairi Sane, just to name a few Japanese women. She's supposed to be like the best of Japanese women. She's okay. I still am not seeing what everybody else sees.
Not at all.
a nitpicky thing for as good as she's supposed to be. You know, I go back to the tag team match with the men. If you're going to kick out of a pin, kick out. Don't just get up because that was spot 15 and now you got to run into 16, 17, and 18. I hate that shit. Make me believe you're trying to pin your opponent. In that match, the tag team match, those guys would apply a little bit of pressure just to give the guy on the bottom something to kick out of. These women go, boom, take you down, get on top of you, let me get back up because we're going to our next spot. It's almost like a lapse in concentration. Why are you getting up if you're trying to pin that person? You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I do. The next segment for me was even weirder. It's Imperium Skyping with Walter, which it was a really good Skype. Because no matter what, there's a glitch here or there, and as long as he was talking, there was like no glitch. So
yeah,
that was really good.
Great connection.
Great connection. I've been seeing this for a while, and I just haven't brought it to the table because I thought, all right, they're teasing us. Wolf just leaves. Whatever. You knew they were going to implode at some point. Something's going on since Walter is not always around, and Alexander Wolf thinks he's kind of taken over.
Were they speaking German?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
English, you don't know that?
I don't speak German, no.
Oh.
English is a Germanic language, and I thought, this sounds like English, but not really. Am I just not hearing well? Am I not understanding? Subtitles would have been great.
Right? That's where I was going with this. That's one.
They did a great job, though, with they didn't do much, but their eyes and their faces told a story. Still, I mean, if, you have De Niro and Pacino speaking Sicilian in The Godfather, they're tremendous. You still need subtitles, though.
Right. Chad, you good? You back? You look like you're
back.
on a roller coaster.
I had to go check on the puppy and go get something to eat.
Oh, good. You're going to eat during the show this week. One of these times, I'm going to eat during the show. The next segment was a complete shit show. The camera angle showed that Toni Storm was going to jump whoever's coming out. So we already knew that she was going to jump her. But the person saving was already right behind the curtain, peeking around the curtain. Cut this out. Cut it. Because it was bad.
It's a shame. Yeah. I should know this, but it's not live Tuesday nights, or is it live Tuesday nights?
I think it's live.
Is it? Yeah, then what the hell can you do,
You have executive producers that have been doing this for years. Okay, here comes your shot. They're staged where the stand. Have them stand where they're supposed to, not... Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing that I looked at all this was, what are they doing to Toni Storm?
Burying her.
Oh, it must be time for a, move to the main roster then. Because, wins and losses and looking like a fucking moron don't count.
What are you eating? Do you have crumpets?
No, biscuits from Red Lobster.
I could tell they were biscuits.
Oh, nice. Good for you. Jake Atlas against LA Knight. I still hate...
said Eli. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? LA Knight could fit into any era.
Agreed.
I really believe that. Yeah. He's incredible. Our buddy, the Raging Bull, would have hated this match for one reason. Jake Atlas. I'd rather you stomp your feet and go back to the old school hits. The leg slapping is so 2017. Quit it. We see it coming a mile away with the leg slaps.
Didn't Vince McMahon put out something about that a couple of weeks ago?
About leg slaps?
Yeah, no more fucking leg slaps.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, he put out something about it in one of his rants, as he was drinking his gallon and a half of fucking skim milk in the morning, they said.
Here comes another half an hour of promos. We have Candice and Indy preparing for the match. We have Tony Storm promo. We have the Legata promo. And then we have the split screen Raquel and Mercedes dual interview. Take it as you go, boys. Now John has a banana. Un-fucking believable, you two.
I love Dexter Loomis looking through the window with flowers. And Candice goes and closes the blinds. I love it. That's just such a fun story. Legado said, I don't know which one of them it was, but what they said was blood, tradition, pride, sacrifice, legacy, gold. I can't translate Kushida, though. I don't know what he said.
You're 1 for 3, then.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
Mark, this is your one. Don't you know what Kushida said?
I'll be back. I don't know.
I love this feud. I love it. I love everybody involved. Kushida is an otherworldly athlete. He is incredible, and Legado's just so damn cool. This is a tough situation. We're going to get to, last week we talked about AEW and how they forced us to choose sides. You better pick a side, and I have the same problem here. I don't know who to support. I love everybody involved in this feud.
And then Raquel and my cousin Mercedes. I love this. I do. I loved this split screen interview. Could have been edited a little bit better because that was not live. But that's just me being nitpicky. Yeah, I think I really do think that Mercedes is going to get a title. I think this is going to go back and forth for a while.
I like the split screen too. That's old school when they used to tease an upcoming card in your local, whether it was a pay-per-view or your local area, it didn't matter. You got that split screen so you could see who was fighting whom. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it reminds me of the promos. They'd be coming to St. Mary's and they'd have, I don't know, Jimmy Valiant or the Rock and Roll Express talking about bringing their, shit to St. Mary's while the match was going on and then come back with good shout back.
Then we get the main event. The Way versus Shotzi and Ember in a street fight for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Holy shit, was this crazy. Like, these women put their bodies on the line.
Holy shit, she couldn't drive her tank.
Holy shit, she couldn't drive her tank either.
Yeah, because of the dog dung.
Yeah, and I'm all right. I'm all right with that, thank God. The ladder spots were painful. Now, ruling it before you guys get to it, we have new tag team champions in The Way. I think this is the team now that actually solidifies these tag team championships, because we had Dakota and Raquel have them for
half an hour.
Yeah, 36 and a half minutes. Ember and Shotzi, good transition to get it to, where it's at today. Candice and Indy just gel. They go together. They're a team. Yes. Let them have it for a while. Let them underhand everybody in this division and run with his titles for 6-7 months to make it a legit title. Because we all shit on this, that there was a tag team title that was in the NXT for, because the main brand ones were supposed to go everywhere.
Yep.
And they never did.
Agreed.
Well, they did, but they haven't for how long?
A long time.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you now after your explanation, Mark. I didn't at first because I felt Shotzi and Ember should have held on to the titles a little bit longer. I don't like titles bouncing around so much. I'd like to see somebody solidify it. Hopefully it's these ladies, as you say. Hopefully they solidify the tag team championship scene. To your point too, I've criticized Indy Hartwell in the ring a little bit. I think she's got a great look. I think she's very funny with what's going on with Cameron Grimes. I'm enjoying that. She showed me something this week. maybe because she's not the focal point of the match. There are 3 other ladies in the match. And this is kind of maybe an old school idea. You know, you guys talked to Nikita Koloff, was pretty green at the time. Team them up with people who know what's going on and know what they're doing and give them a tag team title run. This is maybe what they're doing with Indy Hartwell. You know, she picks up some stuff from a very, very accomplished worker in Candice LeRae, doesn't have to carry the load on her own. You know, Beefcake Valentine, and on and on. There are a number of examples of that. So maybe that's what they're doing here. I was bummed to see the titles change hands, but you make a good point.
I love seeing the titles change. I wasn't a fan of Shotzi and Ember Moon getting the titles in the first place. So I'm with Mark. They need to keep them for a while. Be underhanded little bitches with them.
Yeah.
Just a couple of spots I want to point out because I thought they were great details. The sit-down power bomb by Ember Moon into like the sunset flip pin was done really well. Hook the damn arms. And when her leg couldn't get there, she reached across with her arm and pinned like her tricep to the mat. Show me you're trying to win. Kudos to Ember Moon there for the details. And holy hell did Indy Hartwell get slammed into that table and bounce off. That looked brutal. These ladies brought it. This was very good street fight style match.
Yeah. We're going to truck over to AEW, and John, I'm going to let you lead the way on the very first match. Omega and Nakazawa against Moxley and Kingston.
Well, first we find out that that Omega is not there. Callis comes out, Don Callis, not Mean Mark Callis. Mark, you correct me every week when I call him Mean Mark. We find out that Omega's not there and it's going to be a 2-on-1 match. And then we find out that's not the case. Omega is there. I just felt like if you're going to go that route, that's fine. I don't mind being fooled. I actually enjoy that. If I don't see a twist coming. But they should have maybe dragged that out a little bit. Like, show me Moxley and Kingston working over Nakazawa a little bit, and then Kenny Omega comes out from under the ring or through the crowd. They kind of did that, but I could have used a good several minutes of that. Like, really make me believe Omega's not there. They just kind of rushed right through that idea.
Yeah, I was kind of on myself. I figured maybe have them smacking the shit out of knock it, fuck off Nakazawa. Have them smacking him around for a bit, and then Omega come down, pull one of them off the ring, something like that. The way they did it was a little weird. I mean, it was all right. A little weird.
Mark, thoughts on the opening tag team match? Did you go get something to eat? Because we've been eating now.
I did.
Look at that. Yeah, you got a Pop-Tart. All right. So Kenny Omega's a no-show. Psych. He's actually there. And what I was saying was, then draw that out. Make me believe that. Let's see them beating up on Nakazawa for a while, and then Kenny Omega. It was more like, no, just kidding. He's here.
Yeah, I didn't like it. And then it ended up being 4-on-2 when the Good Brothers attacked. Garbage. By the way, the dogs got treats too. So everybody in the house is now.
Oh, everybody's eating. Club sandwiches for everybody, as Phoenix says.
I just don't know where they're going with this. I don't. Yeah. QT against Cody. Nothing. Apparently. Nobody cared.
I was so geared up for the main event, which lived up to the hype, that anything before it maybe didn't get my undivided attention. I thought this was fine. I really did. This made sense, seeing how the week before Cody was on the bus, got into it with QT. Again, it's building up to more people getting involved. You see Scorpio Sky, Darby Allin getting involved there at the end. Good match. Cody's always going to be a good hand. Yeah, it's about it for me.
And we'll talk about that, John, because there's actually some issues, Chad, before you bring it up, about just the main event. Nothing during the match. You being a fan saying that, you also have other people that said the same thing. So, Chad, what did you think about this match?
Cody and QT, it was all right. I still think they should have drug this out a little bit and saved this for their pay-per-view in a couple of weeks, where they could have done more.
Agreed.
It almost seems like the face of this group is the guy with the punch. Agogo. Thank you. Anthony Agogo. More so than QT Marshall. Like, I would have figured QT kind of orchestrated this whole thing. You know, I think it would have been more dramatic if you put him against Anthony Agogo, who's got this devastating punch. Like, maybe one week you have Agogo in a match, which we've seen him, but really put a beat down on somebody, not just with the punch. Save the punch for later or whatever. And now he's got to fight Dustin before Dustin can get to QT Marshall. I think like they gave us this match maybe a little too soon. With kind of a decisive win, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Like it should be over. The pay-per-view, is he going to get a go-go? Because he draped him underneath the UK Union flag?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's where it's going. Maybe this guy's actually the face of this stable.
Ethan and Sky in the stands talking about Sting sucking the blood out of AEW. Ethan talks with Darby. Yeah. And then Darby gets just tossed down the steps. I wonder how many times they did that, and poor Darby had to fly down the steps a couple times. Because that looks like he should have a concussion.
That's scary stuff.
Oh, he's a goofy bastard and likes that shit. Jumping off of fucking bridges and, you know.
Bridges you hit water, though.
John to be the one there throwing him down the steps.
If they were bleachers.
Yeah, they were bleachers. We haven't hit the steps yet. We're not at the big leagues. That's going to happen on my 50th birthday, I bet.
We can make that happen.
This way I have to get a hip replacement then or something like that. We love Britt Baker, but why have this match? This isn't going to be one of the first times I'll ever poo-poo on it. Like, cool, she beat the Christ out of Jillian Hart.
Jillian or Julia?
What? Yep.
I think it was Julia. You know where she's from, Julia Hart?
No.
Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
No way.
That's what Jim Ross said last night. They said, for anybody wondering, she's from Calgary. I don't know that she's related to that family. But
not that. Well, I heard them say not that Hart family.
Yeah. But he said she's from Calgary.
Huh.
I wonder if she's related to Barry Bret Hart Horowitz.
Maybe.
Quick match. Fine match. Tune-up match for Britt.
Was it really a tune-up match?
It was quick.
And easy. Yep.
Yeah. For years, they've booked any promotion. Booked squashes before a title match.
I know.
It was all right. It did what it needed to do. Julia Hart, honest to God, she's got a good look, and I think she looked fine.
Four-way match between the Varsity Blondes, the Jurassic Express, SCU, and the Acclaimed. Did anybody see anyone besides SCU winning this after last week's promo?
Yeah, if I go down the list, I have to agree. Jurassic Express is, not the top tier, maybe the next level down. They're kind of getting some pushes here and there individually as a team. Varsity Blondes are just those guys. I hate to say this right now, the way they're booked, they're those guys you throw out there when you need a match. And you don't expect them to win. And I'd probably put the Acclaimed up there with the Jurassic Express, but SCU is clearly the team to beat right now.
I'm just glad to see Jurassic Express Luchasaurus is growing his horns back after being neutered a couple of months ago.
The Mox and Nagata promo. Guys, Chad and I met Nagata at the Crockett Cup a couple of years ago. This guy's a wonderful human being. He took time with us, shook our hands, talked with us and everything. I'm actually excited to see this Nagata Mox match.
Yeah,
Nice.
They had a tag team match on, it's the hour show New Japan Strong that airs here in the U.S. Like I say, guys, I can, John, Mark, I think you have the information. I can give you my New Japan information and watch it. They had a tag team match that led into this and that is leading into the U.S. title match. This is going to be a brutal match. This is somebody that Moxley could just stand in the ring with and just beat the fuck out of for real. And it'll be just like, another day.
Next up, Omega. This is actually where it becomes live, because everything prior to this was taped. And this is where I'll bring it up. Let's talk about the Omega thing first. He finds out he's got a number one contender between Pac or Orange Cassidy. One of them, whoever wins the battle next week, is going to face Omega for a championship shot prior to whatever.
No, it's at the pay-per-view.
Oh, all right, it's at the pay-per-view. Cool. Nonetheless, does anybody care to even say anything about that?
I thought Omega was good here. I really do. He brought up some important information about his history with Pac, that he's made him tap out singles matches, tag team matches. This guy just has his number, so it's definitely a concern of his if he ends up fighting him. I thought the bit with Orange Cassidy was a little corny, went on too long. These are legit Ray-Ban, whatever the hell they're called.
Right.
That's a cool move to an extent, like you're bullying. Like Cassidy's that guy to whom the little kids can relate. My son loves him. So he's getting bullied a little bit. We never got the answer to that. Maybe we will somehow next week. But I wanted to see him deck the bully and take his glasses back, even if it happened later. But you just let that dude walk off with your glasses? The hell's wrong with you?
Right. Chad?
Where do I fucking start with this? Omega out there in his fucking Don Johnson Miami Vice fucking outfit with Michael knock it the fuck off, carrying all the belts. And then they have, the number one contender match between Pac and Orange Cassidy. How the fuck is anybody getting a title shot besides Paige?
Well, he just lost. He got knocked out.
Match this year. One fucking match.
Stir the pot.
One fucking match. This was...
You're supposed to remember that he lost, and now he's got to climb his way back up. It just happened last...
One match.
I know.
One match.
I know.
I'll just say this. I was trying to think of something to summarize this and the Young Bucks earlier in the, beating up Moxley and all that stuff. And I got to thinking about it. If my dog would bite one of these guys, he would have to lick his ass to get the taste out of his bad taste out of his mouth. That's what I thought of these guys in this segment this week.
All right. Miro gets a TNT title shot next week. There. Boom. We covered that.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, John.
Before the main event, I just want to ask your opinion. all the belts now floating around AEW from different promotions. Don't forget that Mox has the is it the IWGP United States Championship.
Yep.
It's nice to see them working together, not necessarily, taking over that promotion. At least I don't think so. But for me, this reminds me a touch of Crockett going a little crazy and bringing in some stuff for everything from Florida and from Georgia and from Watts. And suddenly you have 20 championships on. They're doing things a little differently here because it's Omega unifying everything. Do you think they run the risk of convoluting things and confusing people?
Yes. My grandfather was confused that Ric Flair and Hogan had the same world title and wanted to know why they never wrestled. I could see just not knowing who your true face champion of that promotion is right now.
I think they're trying, and it's going to be unsuccessful because he's a piece of shit. They're trying to make Omega, some fucking superstar always of this federation and this federation, and it's just, I see what they're doing, but he's just not. It's just not. The only one that holds any weight is the fucking AEW title.
Yeah, it's all Elite Wrestling is where they're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only one. John saying, I get what you're saying about like when Crockett, was bringing in all these guys, this champion and that champion. That's when he was kind of buying these territories out because remember, the NWA, like, the NWA World Tag Team titles as we knew it, grew up on knowing it, those were never actually a territory title or anything. Those were given to Ole and Gene Anderson in usually anything but the world title. The different territory had that title. They had their heavyweight champion, which was generally who Flair or whoever went against. They had their world tag team champions. There was I remember reading in one of the books, at one time within the NWA territories, there was 13 different world tag team champions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, San Francisco had an NWA territory that had world tag team champions, but I guess the lineage that eventually got followed, because he bought everybody out, was Crockett's lineage, is what we recognize as it. Yeah,
he started his own because the National Wrestling Alliance was truly an alliance. I mean, even the fucking WWF was in it in the early stages. And that it wasn't one governing body; it was guys from everywhere, and that's what made it work. When it went to one single body, it worked, but then they started getting too big for their britches and, trying to muscle into WWF territory, go into fucking Australia where they could, pull in 1,000 fucking kangaroos and in the audience, stuff like that.
Okay, so prior to the Blood and Guts match, Tony Khan comes out, and this wasn't on TV, but this got a lot of backlash this week because if you went to the AEW taping, you saw Blood and Guts, and that was it. Well, some people were pissy about it, and I remember it 3 weeks ago saying, this is a one-match card, come and see Blood and Guts. People went, they were mad that they had to watch the first, essentially, hour and a half on the Jumbotron because it was pre-taped, and then Blood and Guts was live. Khan came out and said, hey, if you have an issue with it, we'll give you a refund. 5 people took it. But afterwards, more people have come out saying, I don't believe I went there just for one match. It was promoted that way. That the stuff ahead of time is going to be ahead of time. You're coming to see Blood and Guts, and that's it. Imagine them, and I know WWE does it because they have it up on a crane that they bring it down and everything. But this is AEW. They don't have that yet. People were pissed that they went for one match.
I don't get it.
It was advertised that way on the fucking ticket. Somebody in one of the wrestling groups put a picture of the ticket up. It was advertised on the fucking ticket. Live, the blood and guts match. Other matches pre-taped. And you were only paying $30 for ringside tickets. Now, I don't know. I mean, with the star power that was there, I would probably pay $30 to watch that match.
Absolutely.
If I could have ringside.
Hell yeah.
I'd pay 50 or 60. Yeah, for sure.
And then you got people, pissed about it. 5 fucking people
Right.
wanted their money back. And you know who it probably was? Fucking Don Callis, the fucking Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Michael Nakazawa.
So we get the blood and guts match, and without going through all of it, I thought it was great. I did. With what they had, I loved how they told that story. Things that I wrote down, I think Sammy really got messed up on that spot where he was trying to jump from ring to ring. I think that kind of hindered him the rest of the match because that was early. I love the shot of when everybody was finally in the ring and they panned out and it was like spy versus spy. The white spy against the black spy. 2 separate rings, and then they collided. I knew Tally was going to get involved at some point. That was cool. I don't think, and I'm going to be this guy, I don't think they needed to go to the top of the ring. Throw out the pad and the cardboard looking floor and everything, and Jim Ross trying to sell it. I think overall, I don't think they needed to go to the top of the ring. More could have happened in the ring to tell the story. And Jericho peaked way too many times at the end of the show to see if he was on air or still on. But overall, I think Wardlow looked amazing in this, crushing everybody. And yes, the Pinnacle won because Sammy had to give up, and then Jericho still got tossed off anyway. But I think Wardlow comes out strong out of this card.
Go ahead,
I
Jeff.
just sent you guys something, both of you on your phone,
Saw it.
talking about Sammy Guevara.
Yep.
He put that out on his Twitter.
Shit.
I thought this was a really good match. I didn't have a problem going with them going to the top because you knew it was going to come down to MJF and Jericho.
Yeah.
And they wanted to kind of separate them a little bit. I think back to they didn't want something stupid to be seen like Pat McAfee in the War Games sitting in the corner fucking sipping on tea while eating crumpets while nobody was beating his ass. The only thing I thought was really bad about this match was MJF throwing Jericho off into cardboard that was on top of a fucking mattress or a cushion or whatever. They should have had him throw him off, hit that shit. Okay, Jericho, hurry up. Get on the fucking concrete.
Yeah.
They should have shot away on that. Otherwise, I would have said this would have been about as close as you could to a perfect match if they wouldn't have done that stupid shit right there.
That picture you just sent, Chad, Sammy is a mess. Oh, my God. I don't know how he sleeps on his back at night with the bruises. As far as the match, I thought everything you guys just said, so I'm not even going to bother addressing that again. I'll focus on the positive here. Superb storytelling and psychology. Exactly what a match like this needs. Better in a lot of regards than its predecessors in terms of psychology and storytelling. Because it didn't have the brutality of Ric Flair getting his face raked across the cage by Dusty Rhodes or anything like that. But every single entrance took it to another level, and every single entrance made me think this is the be-all, end-all of this match. So the heels have a 2-on-1 advantage. I don't see how that babyface gets out of this. This is over. Well, then the next babyface comes in and cleans house. Oh, well, now they got it. They got it. Well, then the next heel comes in. Oh, geez. Yeah, he just did something devastating. I don't see how he gets around this. Then the next babyface comes in. And on and on. Like how you felt when Dusty was bleeding buckets, but all of a sudden Animal comes in and shoulder blocks and clotheslines everybody. It changes the narrative. That's what happened here with every single entrance. Everybody was where they needed to be without making it look like it's where they were supposed to be. And after everything they put each other through, you had a standoff. That was just perfect. It was superb. And I want to give a shout out to Jake Hager. I think he did it to Wardlow. I'm almost positive it was Wardlow. It may have been Spears, but I think it was Wardlow. He just bum rushed him and threw him against the fence and drove a bunch of knees into him. I did that once when I was like 9. This other kid was 11. I won't mention his name because he listens to the show once in a while, and he's still a very good friend of mine.
It wasn't me. It wasn't
you. No, I wasn't living here yet.
So now we're just proving that you're the bully because you're beating people up across the board.
It was going down, and he was bigger and stronger and older, and he's still bigger and stronger and older now. The guy walks around like the British Bulldog with the neck and the arms and everything. But he was big as an 11-year-old, so I thought my only chance is I have to bum rush this kid. So I did what Jake Hager did. I just bum rushed him into the neighbor's fence, drove some knees into him. By that point, he was kind of gassed and dropped, and that was the end of that. But had it just been like, all right, yeah, let's shake and see what happens, he probably would have whipped my ass. So kudos to Jake Hager for throwing down old school style.
Nice. This was great. I loved it. I really did. And I hope they have one a year. Something like that. It was supposed to happen last year and it couldn't. Overall, where do we see MJF going now? Is he going to get his shot now? These are all, you guys can answer the questions. Is Jericho now transitioned into something else? Because that's an end-all match right there.
Yeah. Here's the issue. Yeah, it's an end-all match, and where does MJF go from here? And there are guys in that stable that have bright futures. I'm not trying to stir the pot here. This is my honest belief. Everything is on hold as long as you have Don Callis and company at the top. Is he going to challenge, what the hell is his name, Omega? No, probably not. They're not going to work that kind of all-heel promo. Are Tully's guys going to get a tag team title match? No. I mean, maybe you see somebody challenge Darby Allin at some point, but as long as Callis' guys are at the top, these guys are lost in the shuffle. They can't go to that next level.
Thank you. Chad was nodding as well.
I agree with that, but would it not be the twist to use that logic right there? There's no place for them to go. Who are they going to? Are they going to go back into a feud with the fucking Jurassic Express or with the Hollywood Blondes? Maybe MJF is just like, you get past, and I'll make comment. You get past whatever challenger at the pay-per-view, I'm next in line. And it starts the way the Midnight Express in Cornette started with the Horsemen. Where he gets, because JJ kind of blew Cornette off, like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. And then they just kept a couple of weeks, fucking little snides back and forth. Then it started with Arn taking a snide shot at what is one of his best friends in the business, Bobby Eaton. And then I think it's going to go that way. Now, with that, they were setting the Midnight Express up to be good guys. I don't want MJF as a good guy.
No.
I don't in any way, shape, or form. He's an asshole, and he needs to remain an asshole. It's just like Ricky Steamboat is a good guy. Ricky Steamboat needed to always be a good guy. Otherwise, it wasn't believable.
Exactly.
I think that they're eventually going to do this. Maybe they throw a seed in the next, 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, whatever it is, 2-3 weeks, whatever. Maybe they throw a seed in there. One thing I forgot about Omega, these two guys here. Does anybody take either of these guys as a serious threat to beat Omega?
No.
Orange Cassidy or Pac?
Not Orange Cassidy, and the fact that he mentioned how much Pac has his number, that tells me that
it's not going to be
fortunes
Pac.
will be reversed. Yeah.
It's going to be Orange Cassidy winning that match.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I've got a bad feeling. I'm right there with you, Mark. I got a bad feeling. Everybody expects fucking Pac to win this match.
Nope.
I see Orange Cassidy winning the match. I just, as a company, would not put this fucking match as a main event or as a world title match. I'm sorry. It's just, we're not talking Ricky Morton against Ric Flair at the Great American Bash. We're talking fucking my little dog Pockets against fucking Omega.
I could see it getting shifted, and we get to talking about the pay-per-view. I could see Britt and Sheeta being the main event of that pay-per-view, because this isn't.
It absolutely should be.
This isn't one of their big pay-per-views coming up with championships. I mean, it's Double or Nothing. It's their pay-per-view, but
it's their first pay-per-view back at full capacity, though.
Right, I know, but they've just blown blood and guts, which they should have probably have saved. Essentially, for that
I'm
to be the main
surprised that
event.
was on free TV. Yeah,
for that to be the main event, because now you have 2 weeks to build MJF to be on that pay-per-view, Jericho maybe to come back. Do we get the Wardlow Hager one-on-one match? Possibly. Is there just blow off of FTR then against Santana Ortiz? Guevara is going to do so. I mean, there's going to be, I hate to use this for it, but it popped in my head, so it's got to get out. There's going to be backlash matches from this match. Does that fill up the pay-per-view? Because do we want to see, as Chad said, Jurassic Express against the Hollywood Blondes for no reason?
I hope they don't do it, because if it's your first pay-per-view back at full fucking capacity, I would think whether it's your main pay-per-view or not, you still want to put on a hell of a card.
I agree.
And I'm sorry, Kenny Omega against either of these guys. Okay, maybe they don't want to put him against a really huge guy at this point, but don't even fucking tease Orange Cassidy.
Well, that's what it's going to be.
But I have a feeling it's going to be that.
Pac would be a
why
fine
the fuck
match.
isn't Adam Page in this?
Yeah. Pac would be a fine
Page,
match.
Kenny Omega, do a short tease to that. Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega says, if you don't win this fucking match, you'll never get another shot.
We already had that with Cody. We can't reuse that already again.
Why not?
Because Cody can never get a shot again. Now, I don't want Adam Page not to ever get a shot again.
But my point was, have Adam Page pull the fucking Lex Luger Yokozuna shit and win by disqualification. Well, I won the fucking match, so now you build it up to your next pay-per-view and have fucking Page take the title from him 2 pay-per-views down the road.
And I'm all right with that.
And, oh, I'm sorry, did you see who challenged Kenny Omega for the AAA title?
No.
And I'm thinking John, by his silence, didn't see either.
Andrade. Did. Yeah, I did. I was seeing if John, almost.
No, I didn't see that. Where was that?
Andrade put a Twitter or tweet out video and challenged Kenny Omega for the AAA title at whatever fucking event they're going to be having.
Wow.
Now, do they have Andrade win that so they don't fall into where, they're fucking Omega's bitch like Impact Wrestling is?
I would hope so. because AAA's got a huge heritage. So, questions to come about. Anything else on the week, guys?
I think today A&E is showing, like, starting at noon all the way to 10 p.m., all those wrestling biographies. I watched Macho Man last week. There's nothing I can say about it. Macho Man's just easily one of the greatest of all time. Everybody talks about the match with the Dragon at WrestleMania 3. They worked out 165 spots, but everything from they go to lock up and Macho Man jumps out and moves Elizabeth. That's 1, 2, 3. Then back in, then back out. Whatever, on and on and on. And the Dragon said you could quiz him. I know you didn't watch Mark, but I'll just tell you this. He said you could quiz him. You'd say 18, and Macho Man would go from 18 to 165. You could say, 23, and he'd pick it up from 23 and just go the rest of the way. They had every second of that match memorized. A lot of guys at that time didn't like to work that way. Macho Man was a stickler for that sort of thing. I think the end result speaks for the process. It's pretty damn incredible.
That's a little teaser of what we're going to talk about on the third leg of this. All the A&E biographies and Vice. So we'll be back.
This is the earthquake and the pillars shaking, the leader of the Meat Pop Express, your boy BTBB, Big Trouble, Ben Bishop, the man who stands at 6'12" and weighs in at 15% of the metric ton, and you are listening to the Can Crushers podcast.
And welcome back, Can Crusher Nation. It's I, the glorious guru. In studio at the house is Mark the Mark, and at his castle is John the English Professor. A&E guys, what are we thinking about what they're doing, the biographies?
As John, just before we went to break, told everybody about the Macho Man, that one is on the docket to watch this week, as I'm always like a week behind on those. I watched the Roddy Piper one this week, and holy moly. They actually have clips of him on it and his daughter, his wife. I cried because, once again, I went back to, we met him 2 weeks before he passed away, and I still say I love my indie stars, Britt and Ray Lynn and Jack Pollock, and I could name the list of everybody that I love that I got to meet there. But Roddy Piper, for John, 20 minutes apiece, he made me a member of his family, and he joined my family. Like, I hadn't said boo to him, and he asked me as soon as I walked up how my wife and kids are, not knowing that I had a wife and a kid. And we just rolled. And we talked wrestling, but we talked about life. And that was amazing.
He was a really, really special person to meet. We've talked about that day before, and how Mark said how much time he spent with us. I don't know whether it was 10 minutes or 20 minutes or what it was. It felt like a lifetime because I remember shooting Mark a look like, I can't believe I'm still standing here and he's talking to me. Does he not realize there are 500 people or whatever the hell it was? But he got there early, signed for everybody that ran the store, started things early, and gave everybody all the time in the world. On a different note, but still pertaining to Roddy Piper, I didn't watch it. Not yet, and I will catch up on it today. I don't know if they talked about his boxing. I have to be honest with myself. It's wrestling is an illusion, and you believe what you believe. There are guys that say, Greg Valentine said he could knock anybody out. He had the fastest hands he'd ever seen. Valentine, speaking of Piper. And there are people that say Golden Gloves is not something that, they're going to give away. There's record of it. And there's no record of Roddy Piper. So I just wonder if this is like Sergeant Slaughter was in the Marines. Is it something you kayfabe and and you keep it going, and then the lie just becomes, but the work just becomes reality because you can never come clean about it. Did he win a Golden Glove? Did he not? I don't know that we'll ever know. But I think, and Mark, you saw it, maybe you could speak to this. He was a kid. I mean, just a little older than our kids, on the road on his own. I think he was scared and said, yeah, I'm a boxer and I'll kick your ass if you mess with me. Because he was scared and didn't know what else to do, you know?
Yeah, I would agree, John. I would agree. Rewinding, because I watched it Monday, and you know how my brain works. I think they touched on some of the boxing, but I don't remember it in depth. I was more, because it was early. But yeah, he legit lived on the streets, and he says he went for a hot dog and a handshake at some events, and that was it. So he had to make do with what he had to do.
Yeah.
But it's a good
that's
one.
The one that, that's the one that interests me the most, and I can't wait to catch up on that today.
Well, Savage will be my tomorrow's adventure before I go to sleep to sit down and watch that, so I'm excited. Chad stepped away for a minute, so we can roll on. I also love all the treasure things that they're doing on A&E, where they're going back and buying stuff. This past week was Jerry the King Lawler's.
Yes.
Did you watch that one?
Yeah, the neck brace, Andy Kaufman's neck brace. Who had it? The PWI guy.
Bill Apter.
Yeah. Wow.
And then Jerry, I like the little teaser that they're like, oh, is he going to give up the first row cape? Is that what you call it? Cape and crown that he had?
Yeah.
You know at the end of the show, he's going to be like, here. I mean, what's he going to do with all of them?
Yeah.
Right? So that's you know it's going to happen at the end. But I like those. I think this week's is Booker T. So I'm excited to see what's up with Booker T. And that's what Chad went to get. He's showing me Matilda. That's not the dog's name, but it should be Matilda.
She woke up. Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
So we talked about Piper. Did you watch? How many of the A&Es have you watched, Chad?
I have not watched it. It is going to be the binge watching today because I saw that they were having them on.
Nice.
Yep, from noon till 10 p.m. Yep.
All right, then let's skip over to Vice. And I know the answer to this. Both of those Jagalones have not watched it. But the Brian Pillman one, yes, it was released early on YouTube, but the whole thing wasn't on YouTube. There was pieces taken out, and they saved some of it. You know, it was kind of just a long preview. The Brian Pillman Dark Side of the Ring is unbelievable. Dark Side of the Ring, I mean, nothing against A&E in their biographies. Dark Side of the Ring, when they started 3 years ago, they got it, man. From Herb to Pillman to the Bruiser Brody to the Von Erichs, all of them. They take the time to dive in and get everything you need or want to know about what happened in said life or company. Unbelievable. I was choked up again with the Pillman one. I cry a lot, guys. You know that.
Wow. That I guess is surprising to me a little bit. I always kind of knew him as sort of a straightforward, clean-cut guy. I mean, that intrigues me, though. I'm curious to know what the hell was so dark about Brian Pillman's life, but we'll see.
Oh, wait till you see, John. I've heard some of the comments about it and that, and there was shit in there that I had no freaking idea about.
Wow.
Yeah. Shout out to our frat boy, Channing Decker, for playing Brian Pillman. Dude, he's a great, I love him as a wrestler. But he's got something going with these Dark Side of the Rings. He was Jericho last year and Pillman this year.
He was, yeah, I thought he was in another one. He was Jericho?
I thought so.
Yeah, I think you may be right. Yeah, you may be right.
Yeah. So, yeah. Guys, two great shows. I'm going to break from wrestling a minute and tell you guys of a podcast that I listen to all the time. They're buddies of mine, and I always want to give them props because they're busting a. They really are. They're busting a nut.
What?
Busting a nut. No, I don't know what I meant by that, but it's available on Apple every place you can find a podcast. It's three guys that are doing things before they get to 40. 40 goals before they're 40. It's called the 40-Year Dash. Guys, go back and listen to them. They're about an hour and a half apiece. Some of their goals are awesome. Cody, Jenks, and Moochie, working with those guys in the Seawolves organization. Yeah, they're great. They're shenanigans that they do. But another wrestling podcast that just came out about 2 weeks ago, I want to talk about this real quick, is Chelsea Green started her own podcast. And she's revealing everything already. She was actually part of Trash Bag Gate as well. You remember how Mickie James got her stuff sent to her house in a trash bag?
Right.
Chelsea Green did too. But she didn't get anything of hers back. She got Lana's stuff and Natty Neidhart's stuff.
Oh,
5 different people's stuff.
Yeah.
She got.
Yeah. I remember Nat and Lana. I don't remember who.
Okay, so you apologize to you apologize to Mickie. How the hell do you fix this now, Stephanie? Good grief.
Oh, she sent her flowers.
Yep. They sent them.
No, I'm not shitting. She sent her flowers.
And Chelsea Green says they sent them flowers that said, "From your WWE family." You just cut them. They're not your family anymore. Chelsea Green. It's called 50 Shades of Green. She's not going to pull any punches. I love it. And she talks about her friends. She's great friends with Deonna Purrazzo and Britt and, more and more like that. She keeps them about 45 minutes. They're fun. 50 Shades of Green. Make sure you listen to that.
Where are some of these releases going to turn up? Thinking about the women and then seeing Selena Del Renta done with MLW.
Yeah. Chelsea says she's never been to ROH and she'd love to. So I bet you she pops up there. I really think Chelsea's going Impact to be with Matt. It really makes sense. I mean, I'd love her to come to AEW because her, Britt, and Thunder Rosa have had amazing matches together. Chelsea's a great worker. Del Renta, AEW all over. That's a perfect tie if you're going to break up the Inner Circle. She can roll right in with Santana and Ortiz. She fits.
And you got to remember, too, who she had. She brought into MLW at times and managed was the Homicide and Hernandez, the other part of the Latin American exchange with who you just mentioned.
Right. So, yeah. John? Nothing?
No, it's going to be a quiet day at home, catching up on A&E and...
No, we have your show, your stick.
Oh, that's where we're going. Okay, yeah, so this is Love 'em While We Have 'em, folks. This is where we appreciate a worker in the wrestling business while we still have that person with us, on the off chance that they're listening and they know just how much we appreciate them. And this week, Mark is bringing a name to the table. Mark?
Right off the top of my head, because I thought it was John's turn, so of course I scroll around the studio.
Next week's my turn.
Okay, so I scroll around the studio and I look at Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett. Interesting. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, John.
All right. Jeff Jarrett's one of those guys, like Vince McMahon said about Jerry the King Lawler. You've done it all in this business. In some way, shape, or form, he has kind of done it all in this business. promoter, right? I know his dad was a promoter, but yeah, Jeff was involved in that aspect of it too. Yeah. Mark, I don't want to steal your thunder, but you met him and he was a really, really nice guy. You presented him. You had a drawing, not something you did, but a painting.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Bought.
Yeah.
And he wanted to buy that. I'll let you tell that story. But always fun to watch, always kind of in the thick of things. I know people have said he was like a Ric Flair honky tonk man combination, but the guy could draw heat, and he could hang his hat on this. Before leaving WWE for Eric Bischoff for WCW, he went out with losses, and he went out dropping the Intercontinental title to China. And this is in the time of the dirt sheets and everything. The internet was kind of new. Vince McMahon was quoted as saying, he's a professional. He's welcome back here anytime. So I think, the traditions of wrestling probably meant a lot to him. He left promotions the right way. I don't know that he had the best relationship with his father. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my understanding. I hope that's not the case. Always good United States Intercontinental Champion, middle of the card, give you a good match type worker, can genuinely work a crowd. As soon as his music hit, you hear the boos. Chad?
Jeff Jarrett, the one thing I can always say about him, you got certain levels of wrestlers, and I'm not talking talent-wise, technical-wise, but some that are good entertainers, some that are technical, some that are just entertainers, some that can wrestle. Jarrett was kind of like the complete package. He could talk. He could wrestle. Like John said, he could get heat. He was one that he in coming up through the USWA and with his dad and Jerry Lawler in that, he just learned the business well, and it benefited him and cursed him a bit. There was the hiring of Vince Russo, which pissed his dad off, and Jeff and his dad didn't talk for 10 years because of that. There was the thing with McMahon that a lot of people don't know, that when he had the Intercontinental title, McMahon was one of these ones where you get, okay, you're guaranteed this much amount of money, and, through the years, but he'd wait until the end of the contract to really pay up on that. Well, Jarrett was the first one that bucked McMahon. He had the Intercontinental title. They wanted him to drop it to China. And he pulled, I don't want to say an Ultimate Warrior stunt, because this was before the Warrior. He pulled the stunt of, you're going to pay me what I'm fucking owed now, or I'm not going out and doing this job. And it got McMahon's respect in an odd way that Jarrett stood up to him, because it was known what McMahon would do. So the one thing with Jarrett was he was, I'll say his best quality, he was always for the boys. He was always for the wrestlers. And I'm not talking the assholes like Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels and stuff. Jarrett was always for the wrestlers, the ones who could make or break, the cards, the organizations and that. And many, many years ago, I met him in TNA, and he was there, taking pictures, going through the crowd, talking to people. He put a thing together. Hey, for $30 at the end of the show, you can go and meet all the wrestlers in the back. He did it on a whim, because there was no meet and greet scheduled or anything. And I got to meet, somebody that I'll never obviously be able to meet again. I got to meet Harley Race. I got to meet AJ Styles. early in his career. I think Jeff was great for the business. Without being a dick, he was great for the business. If he would have had the money behind him, I think that he would be where Vince McMahon is sitting now, almost.
Jeff Jarrett, John brought up the picture, and I think I might have told this before, but I'll tell it again real quick. I found a painting, just because when I was starting to get, this huge wrestling collection, I found a painting online of a guy selling a Jeff Jarrett thing, and I'm like, I was not always a Jeff Jarrett fan, so to speak, but he always tugged at my heart because Jeff Jarrett was the one, and I'm not saying the guys weren't real, but he broke my heart after the Owen passing. The way that he spoke. So, being my mother's son, I connected right there with him because he was a train wreck, which anybody would be. But he got to my heart. So I bought this thinking, all right, we're just gonna hang this up and, just pay some respect to him. Well, he had left every big organization then, WWEF and WCW at the time, and he was out of Impact, which he started because it had been bought and ruined. So he was coming back around doing, was it GCW? Is that what it, GWF.
Yep.
Yeah, Global Wrestling Federation. And he legit said, I'm going to come to little organizations and scout and grab some talent, more or less. Well, we came to Big Time Wrestling in Altoona, and I brought this. And he was there, and he's like, where did you get this? And I'm like, I bought it from, an artist. He's like, this is a one-of-a-kind. I'm like, yeah. I said, I paid a couple bucks for it. He's like, this is amazing. I'd love for this to be in the GWF offices. He's like, what do you want for it? I'm like, I want you to sign it. He's like, oh, man, I'll give you something. I'm like, no, and to this day, if he'd come knocking at the door right now, I don't think, because it just means something to me. So he signed it, and Karen was there too. And she's like, oh, I'm not gonna. I'm like, no. I said, you're here. I said, I'd love for you to sign it. Now, she's not replicated on it, but her ex-husband, Kurt Angle, is on it. He's getting smashed over the head by a guitar from Jarrett. It's a great piece. It's maybe I'll put a picture up this week that you guys actually see it in the thumbnail. It's a pretty cool picture. But John, to your point, I think you're right. I think when he started TNA back in the day, if he wouldn't have made some bad, or maybe it was Chad, he would have made some bad decisions bringing in the bigger guys again, because they were doing great things with Samoa Joe and AJ and Young and the Canadian guys and Robert Roode and James Storm, all those guys. I think he would have actually been really knocking at Vince's door. Russo hurt him. Bringing Hogan over hurt him. As much as people are going to hate to hear this, Sting, I think, put him down a little bit because it's all money. Dixie Carter. Let's just leave it at that. If you're a wrestling fan, you know Dixie Carter. But Jeff Jarrett, just like you both have said, the consummate professional. Is that the word I was looking for?
Consummate.
Yeah, consummate professional.
You're still thinking about French's mustard and Golden's mustard, and condiments.
I put it together.
Consummate.
Yeah, I put them together. Just a great guy, a wonderful human being, and as Chad said, it was for the wrestling business. We wanted to do something to help the wrestling business. I don't know a lot about his personal dad and son issues. Him and Angle, for a while, didn't talk, but then when they rekindled and had a match, that's one of my favorite feuds. Like, legit. John, I'm going to say this, and God forbid, there's me knocking on wood. You start dating Kelly, or, whatever, because we're both single, and, I'm married, you're not. You start dating Kelly, and you just work. They just worked. There wasn't real shots Angle and Jarrett worked, and it was believable, and it was, you know where I'm going with that whole thing, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
They put on great stuff, even after Jarrett was married to Kurt's ex-wife. Crazy. So, Jeff Jarrett.
Cheers to being here, Jeff Jarrett.
Cheers to being here. Chad, updates on where we're going in November.
Going to WrestleCade, still sitting at the Saturday and Sunday after Thanksgiving. They announced a couple of wrestlers this week to add on to Kane and Kurt Angle. They announced first time attendee and a extremely rare public appearance, former women's champion Wendy Richter.
That's a big one.
Wow.
That's a good signing. They also announced the leader of three-man band, Heath Slater, will be there.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a different one there. Looking forward, but the one so far that they've officially announced, because Kane hasn't been official, but he is in the books. They announced the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
And
Soup Geis.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Rotunda.
Yeah. Money Incorporated. I'm excited for that one. I really am.
You know, if I met him, I'd like to ask him why his name ended in an A in Crockett Promotions and in an O for Vince McMahon. It's baffled me for 35 years.
Southern versus Northern. The Southern version, or whatever, they wanted the A, Rotunda. He explained it, but it just basically comes down to Vince McMahon wanted something ending in O. And that's the stupidest reason, but that's what the difference was. Because Vince McMahon didn't want anything Southern sounding.
So Martinez would not be good.
No.
Interesting.
Martinez-o.
There you go. All right. You two Jaggalos have anything else to bring to the table?
Nah, I don't think so.
No.
All right. So once again, check us out on all podcast devices: Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, all of them. No, we could sit here for 5 minutes and name those. Our social medias are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's all at CanCrusher69. 2 weeks, is that what we said? Prior to the pay-per-view, we're going to do, is pay-per-view next week or in 2 weeks for WWE? 2 weeks, right?
I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah.
So the show prior to that, which we'll be making our predictions on, we're going to do Ask Can Crushers. So make sure you send your Ask Can Crusher questions to cancrusher69@gmail.com. Don't forget, this week will be round 2 to get your name into the Nintendo Switch only, no substitutions code for Retromania that Chad has in his back pocket ready to get to everybody. We have a few already qualified. Let's see if you can get your name in again. And you have 2 chances to win. And then next week we'll be giving that away on the show. Who the hell knows what part of the show, but at some point of the show, we'll give that away to somebody as I'll throw them in my Toledo Mudhens hat and pull the name out, because the hat's been here as long as the show. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's my favorite hat.
Right? I understand. Yeah, I have a blue Yankees hat that is about, my son thinks it's brown because of how faded it is. It was navy at one point.
Yeah.
I love it, though. It feels gross on my head. You know what I mean?
I saw that you can strip hats with, like, I don't know, you let them soak in a tub for like an hour. I run this underwater every once in a while to get some of the crud off, but there's blood, sweat, and tears in this hat. I don't want it all out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, John, remember.
Just because you're trash, it doesn't mean you can't do great things.
Called a garbage can, not garbage cannot.
Hey, don't forget this Wednesday, a big time spotlight with Big Trouble, Ben Bishop. It's going to be at the wrestling event, June 19th in DuBois, Pennsylvania.